So thank you again to Cyril for inviting me. And I'm looking forward to sharing some advice with everyone this evening. So what is Girls of a Feather? Who are we? What do we do? We're a mentorship and advocacy organization for adolescent girls based in St. Lucia. It started off as a passion project, fresh out of community college. I grew up with three sisters, and mother and father who are lawyers. And I heard a lot about the challenges and the struggles of young women. And I couldn't really find an organization that I could give back to in St. Lucia on a regular basis. So I reached out to my sisters and I said, hey, I want to start this. And I started it. The name had originally been The Ladies, but it changed to Girls of a Feather. And from then, we've been going strong. So this just is a summary of some of the activities we did over the past 5 years since starting in 2014. So our main goals are to provide adolescent girls with access to female mentors and essential services, to develop the capacity of ambassadors and partners in advocating for and working with girls, to offer gender-responsive mentorship programs for girls in the juvenile justice system in St. Lucia, that is girls in conflict with the law and those in care and protection, and to promote and foster the economic, psychological, physical, and social well-being of marginalized girls at a policy level. So our main vision and mission is activism fueled and powered by girls, and our mission is to develop the mindset of our mentees through educational, community self-development, and career-driven activities that will encourage them to make positive life choices and shape them into promising female leaders. Very long mission. And Michaela spoke a little bit about her camp, and there were so much similarities in what she does and what I do. So I'm hoping to reach out to you, Michaela, after this. So that was just a picture of one of the camps that we did. I'm going to be very transparent with you in this. How we started off as an youth-led organization to where we are now. Very transparent. It has not been very easy. There have been highs and lows. There have been tears. There have been, should I even be doing this? I'm a university student. This is my second degree, actually. I started Girls of a Feather doing tourism management, and I went back to school and I'm now doing engineering. So my life is a bit everywhere, but this is a passion project of mine, and I'm very happy I'm still going through with it because there's a need for it. So we launched in 2014, just as a social media, using our social media platforms. We started off with Facebook. I don't think Instagram is really it just yet, but just little quotes and things like that. When we wanted to convene and have meetings, we wanted to use one of the community centers. The only way we could have used the community center was to be registered. So that's how I found it. That's how I found out we needed to be registered. So we registered in 2014 as a youth-led organization, and we held our first event in 2015. Still trying to figure out what is it that we want to do, but we know we want to focus on supporting young women and girls in St. Lucia. We had no money. So Girls of a Feather was that group that did cake sales in the middle of town. If you didn't know better, you would just think we were the girls who sold cakes. So we sold lots of cakes, and we'd make a little bit of money just to buy the girls little t-shirts for our camps, things like that. So in 2016, we were still struggling to figure out how do we manage this organization? We all had a passion for it, but we don't know who's really supposed to be doing what, besides me being the founder and all of us trying to put all our ideas together. The girls from the camp in 2015 decided they wanted to start a club. So after the camp, it was only 13 girls. The girls said, we want to continue. So they started off at SJC, at the St. Joseph's Convent. In that year, we worked with advisors letting them know that we wanted to work with vulnerable girls, wanted to know how we can improve our skills. What do we need to do? What are the gaps? And we sold more cakes to make money. In 2017 to 2018, we had an aha moment where we realized that our work is very much aligned in advocacy, gender-based violence, sexual reproductive health, mental health, and with the girls starting their clubs at school, we realized that there was a need for that, for gender education in schools, awareness raising, consciousness raising, talking about gender equality in a structured environment. So we said, let's focus on this and let's structure our programs to a mentorship program that girls can get matched with professionals, volunteers, etc. So we decided to go beyond just selling cakes. We were tired of selling cakes. We were now speaking to persons who were like, there are grants out there. What are grants? We don't know anything about that. Who are we? We just a group of young women hosting these events. But I did my research and we were able to network and find out opportunities. And we finally got through with something in the latter years, around 2020. So 2019, 2020, we celebrated our 5-year anniversary. We were awarded the Within Focus Award in the UK. We were ready to get serious. We got legally registered as a nonprofit organization. We set up a new board. And with our funding now, we're finally able to get staff and to continue working. So to this date, we now have a Girls of a Feathers headquarters. We're working on a 3-year research project, apologies for the typo, relaunching our programs, and we're working with consultants to ensure that we're meeting the standards we want to in the work that we do. So our strategic plan looks like this, providing access to essential services, gender-based violence, reproductive health, and mental health. So if you visit our website, you will see that anybody between 16 and 35 can actually get counseling for free. They can work with a consultant, and we do all of those. Policy and advocacy, we're very much focused on working with girls in the juvenile justice system, like I mentioned in our goals and objectives, working on girl-centered programs, partnerships, and doing more research. That's so important. I think everyone has mentioned that in the presentations, Ashley and Kayla. So how did we get here? Or if you were to look back on where we came from to where we are now, we've made a lot of progress, but we did a lot of planning in between. So the 3 recommendations I have for anyone who wants to start is do your homework. What exists and what gaps can you fill? Meet the right people, and networking is important. You may not work with them now, but their names may come across in the next year or 2, and they will be like, wait a minute, I got an email from you, I remember you, the conversation will continue and you will get things going. So don't be afraid to start from the bottom, go to the top, start from your community, reach out to people who have already done this work and can really give you some advice on how to move forward. Don't be afraid to grow. And structure is important. You will know for definitely if you want to do funding, people want to be able to trust your work. Just like if you go shopping, go to a grocery, go buy clothes, wherever, you want to trust the people that you're giving your money to. People want to trust the persons they send their clients to. So you still want to have something in place. So just to go into more detail about it, building your capacity is important. I was very much focused on that when I started. I was a tourism student, no background in volunteering. I just started this because I was just very passionate about it. And I knew that people would not believe me or people would not work with me if I didn't have the right skill sets. So I went online and I used to Google a lot. I did a lot of Googling and Google helped me over the past 5 years. So there are a lot of free courses online. Philanthropy University is one of those that I have used to do courses. I got a scholarship in 2017 to participate in the Caribbean Institute in Gender and Development Studies program that's held every 2 years. They did a call out recently. So if it comes up in, I believe, 2023, I would definitely encourage you guys to sign up for that. It was an excellent crash course on feminism and gender in the context of the Caribbean. Met amazing activists right now. Some of them are gender specialists. Some of them have their own NGOs. I met amazing people at that program in Barbados. The Caribbean Policy and Development Center always has opportunities for training scholarships. I did one on monitoring and evaluating in 2018. That's a website that has a lot of resources on persons you can reach out to, organizations that can help. UWI, Mona Cable, and St. Augustine have gender departments. So those are persons you can always reach out to. We've done safeguarding with the Prince Trust International. We've done local consultations with the Department of Gender Relations. Don't be afraid to put your foot in the door in places that people may think you should not be. I was one of those people where they were like, who are you? What are you doing here? But I've shown them that I've been consistent and I'm very passionate about this and I'm really about making a change. So because our organization is program-based, we've used a lot of manuals online. Again, Ashley and Michaela have touched on this. There's information online. Mentorship programs, I have looked at what organizations, very large-scale organizations have done. What should we be implementing when it comes to advocacy? What are the areas we can focus on? It is all there for free. You just need to read it. And of course, there are free webinars that you can attend, ones like these. And because of the pandemic, there are so many going on. So take advantage of that. Know what your skills and what areas you want to focus on: digital media, organizing, project management. What is it that you want your organization to focus on? It doesn't need to be the same. You can have one issue. All of us can be doing gender-based violence, and there are different platforms you can use using storytelling. You want to be an organization that raises funds to provide care packages. There are different ways you can go about supporting these efforts. So the second point I want to raise is networking, which has really helped Girls of a Feather, like I said. I remember one time, actually recently for our research project, I would read articles and go and email these authors that had written the literature, the pieces, I guess, the research. I would find them and I'd say, hey, I'm from St. Lucia, I read your work, whatever. And I'd schedule a Zoom meeting with them and they would have meetings with me. A little girl from St. Lucia, people in the US, big people. And I was just very much interested in getting to know people who have done the work. And I know from the Caribbean, access to that is very limited. So don't be afraid. So I've worked with similar organizations, having a collective plan. In this picture, this is one of the girls from Antigua and Barbuda. They came to St. Lucia and we collaborated on a project called a 50 More Conference. Network for mentors and advisors. They don't necessarily have to do something for your organization, but they can give you some advice. They can, they may not necessarily need to be part of your org structure, but they're persons you can go to. So through Girls of a Feather, we've joined the Commonwealth Gender Equality Network with Unfocused Collective. I'm part of IGDS, I'm part of ECADE, and I'm also part of CIWIL. I frequently speak with the Director of Gender Relations to understand what's happening, how can youth play a role, and what gaps can Girls of a Feather fill. I've collaborated with local NGOs, youth groups, and schools, and and I have reached out to people as far as Iceland. Right now, they're working with us to do our gender training in schools virtually over the summer. I have met persons in Africa who I will be collaborating with in the future. Reached out to persons in the US who do focus on girl-centered work. And back in the Caribbean, I love my Caribbean people. I worked with persons in Trinidad, Jamaica, Barbados. So be very open to networking, regardless of how small you think you are, people are willing to listen. My final point this evening is don't be afraid to grow. So I remember also when I just started, somebody was like, you're not financial, so you don't have this yet. You can't do this yet. So I made sure things were in place for my organization so that we can get to a comfortable position where people will take us seriously. Michaela mentioned it, get registered if you need to. I know for feminist funding, they sort of oversee that sometimes because they understand the challenges in having to find a lawyer, having to, the expenses that come with it and just the difficulty of it. But if you can, just get it done as early as possible. Open a bank account under the organization's name if you're gonna request donations, start writing checks and things like that. So our organization started off with volunteers. Our volunteers grew into core team members. Our project started scaling up. So we needed to set up the board and management and look at all sorts of funding. It is there online. Organizations like FRIDA, Global Fund for Women, the Equality Fund, Global Giving, USAID. Some of them we've been recipients of recently. So if the opportunity comes up, just apply. Make sure you know what your goals and objectives are of your organization, what projects you want to work on. A lot of the times you need concept notes, things like that. So don't be afraid to apply for funding, even if you get rejected. So yes, this is my final part of my presentation, the cake sale. I always like to look at this picture because it's very humbling and it reminds me of where I started. We would really hustle trying to raise money for that organization, hunting people down, just telling them, give us money, and they wouldn't even buy cake. It was a lot of fun, but it just brings back a lot of memories, you know, to us, that being that organization that used to be selling outside the supermarket, these little cakes. Sometimes it's a lonely road, sometimes it's hard. Sometimes you look back and you think it's definitely worth it. And I always like this picture. And here we are now. We finally have our headquarters. I actually just had a meeting today with the Department of Human Services and getting our organization as a referral system. We really want to get into securing what we do as a mentorship organization, because we realize that the aftercare when it comes to girls who go in the transit home, it's very poor. So we're really trying to make that connection. And she was very pleased that an NGO actually reached out to her, because she feels like there's so much tension sometimes when it comes to advocacy that nobody's really willing to collaborate, although they say we need to collaborate. So I know there's frustration with working in the system, but sometimes you have to put your pride aside and just get the job done. So I think today, this is one of my proudest moments, being able to grow Girls of Feather to this small organization, to something that I am praying will be here for a very long time. And this is ready to inspire you. You can start from the bottom and go to the top. So that's how it started. This is how it's going. It may be difficult, it may be challenging, but I feel like we've gone a long way, and with so much work that we can do. And I'm hoping that this space is not just a Girls of Feather space, but a community space for all women's and girls organizations in St. Lucia to use. So this is not for me, this is for everybody. I just wanted to say thank you again to Cyril, and to those of you who have questions, I would be more than willing to assist, and you can always reach out to us. via these platforms: Instagram, Facebook, email, and website. Hope I wasn't too long. So that's it for me. Thank you.